everybody doing? I am your host, American Lumberjack, aka Frankie, and we are back with another Timber Talk navigating the political forest. And we have a great show for you today, so we're not going to waste any of your time. We're going to jump right into it. So let's, as always, give praise to God, our Father in heaven, and get right to it. Dear God, thank you for today. Thank you for blessing us to see another day and another week, Lord. God, we ask that you continue to help us navigate this thing we call life, especially when it comes to the politics and the things that are going on in the world that the news just won't tell us. And I thank you for this show. And everyone that is tuning in today, God, I ask that you just bless them abundantly and more than they can receive. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. All right, guys, tonight we are not nibbling around the edges on anything. We are kind of sort of just talking, giving you a show overview. We're talking CIA warfare between America and China, basically. That's the intelligence aspects of it. We're talking elite universities helping shape immigration pipelines or twist immigration pipelines, rather. And we're talking about how America is dealing with some things with their vets. We have a lot in store for you today. It's going to be a really, really good show. And let's jump right into it. So our first segment today is called Spy Games, right? And this is the CIA aspect of what I was talking about in the intro, and as brief as it was. But this one's really interesting. It's really, really, really interesting. You know how I feel about the CIA. If you've been watching this show for any amount of time, you know how I feel about them. But this right here, what we're seeing right here, is real intelligence and what real intelligence war looks like. The Central Intelligence Agency just rolled out a Chinese language recruitment video, which I will show because I have it for you today. And this video directly targets officers inside of China's military. And this is not something that's subtle. It's not vague. It's quite direct. And when you see the video, you will understand exactly what I'm saying. Now, the video is in Mandarin, and I do have subtitles on it. So you're going to have quick eyes, because I was going to do the version where there's an English voiceover, but that's kind of takes away from the gravitas of the video in itself and helping you understand that. So let's hop right over there and look at this video.
这是我熟悉的世界，保家卫国，保护人民。然而日复一日，真相越发显而易见，领导们真正在保护的只有他们自己的私利，他们的权力建筑在无数的谎言上，但现在这些谎言壁垒逐渐坍塌，最后留下给我们的就是收拾残局。任何有领导能力的人必定遭受忌惮，被无情绞杀。我不能让这些狂人来塑造我女儿未来的世界。历史经验告诉我们，不战而胜者才是最大的赢家。但这些未经战火的人却迫不及待想让我们投身沙场。我是个战士，我的职责是保卫人民，守护祖国。选择这条道路，就是我为家为国的战斗方式。
All right, so the CIA is aiming these messages at the disillusioned members of the People's Liberation Army of China. And if you haven't been paying attention, this has been going on. Actually, the first one was released January 15th. So this has been going on since January 15th in itself. And it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant because the things that have been going on, again, the news loves to pump you full of things that give you serotonin and dopamine, but they don't ever give you anything to come down from that on. And this is what you come down on it on with. And you need to come down on it because this is where reality is. This is something that they've been doing to affect what's been going on in China. So in China, if you haven't been paying attention at all, you had a bunch of younger generational people stop working because they were tired of being treated the way they were being treated. And now in their military, they have had upper level leadership start just plucking people out, removing people left and right. And that has shown that like that China's not really in control how they think they are anymore. And they're removing people that they believe might be problematic, but it shows the people that are at the bottom that something is going on and they don't necessarily like this. So they're sending these videos out to kind of sort of, hey, if you feel like you might be on the chopping block, come talk to us. And ultimately what CIA is saying is your senior leadership is corrupt. They're putting privileges out for some and purging people that they believe might be their rivals. They don't trust you. So if they don't trust you, you should trust us in the United States and give us information. And that's just how the CIA is structured and how it's supposed to work. It's ultimately just psychological warfare and has been for a very long time. Now, to give a little bit more context, China has been conducting major internal purges, like I said, and they have been restructuring their military to make it, I guess, more streamlined. And it is not working out like they think it is in how they want it to be, because the people are kind of sort of pushing back. And in America, we've always been taught that no one bucks against China. The Chinese people will put people against firing squads and just take them out and do all of these hard things just to keep people in line. Well, the people are finally figuring out that there's more of us than there are you. And though they have that pride, the people are just kind of feeling the pressure, especially because other world leaders are applying pressure to China. And that's at the behest of what Trump has been doing with China and with the tariffs and stuff like that. And so other world leaders are like, hey, if America can strong arm China, we can too. And that's causing dissension because the people are feeling it more so than what China originally thought. And this is the same country, mind you, that devalued their currency so that they could get deals. And while they were getting these deals, they were hitting people with 100% tariffs on the back end and abusing all of their power that they have accrued as being the world's #1 exporter. But this is an opportunity the CIA saw to really sow discord. And for those that are new to the channel and new to me, I've been talking about color revolutions for, God, it seems like ever. At least since 2010, it's been something that I've known about, but I've been talking about it religiously for years. And it seems like now with all the Epstein stuff coming out, everybody's all color revolution. Well, this is a facet of color revolution, what the CIA is doing here. And because they saw this instability that was going on with the people, they're now applying that same behaviors within their military by doing this. And China's not happy. They're not happy. They're like, hey, this is you coming in and trying to destabilize our country with all of these things. Well, first and foremost, China, you've been doing this to America for years. Or do you not recall you trying to create agro-terrorism in the United States by using Ivy League students and other university students to propagate your spores and stuff that would destroy our crops? Do you not recall that you had people in Oregon that were stationed in Oregon that were in the military feeding you information? I remember these things because the whole first half of 2025, that's all I seemingly talked about was all of the infiltration on China's behalf. So you've been doing this for years, and now that it's finally being done back to you, you don't like it. You don't like it at all. And yes, Beijing is up in arms and throwing a tantrum, doing what Beijing does, but at the same time, you brought this on yourself. This is not something that we purposely did because you were being silent and not doing anything and keeping it to yourself. It's because you started stepping on our toes, so we're doing it back. But here's what ultimately matters. When the CIA, when was the last time that you, as a viewer, could trust the CIA? Because now we're going to talk about what I want to talk about. The CIA is doing this, and they're making it very public. They're putting it out on YouTube and hoping that the VPN watchers, people that have virtual private networks, will be able to watch it because China blocks YouTube. But if you have a VPN, you can work around that. And they're hoping to get this message into a few hands in China, so the Discord. But the CIA, when's the last time you trusted them? When's the last time you saw the CIA openly target foreign military like this? And I'm going to tell you, it hasn't happened. They do things in a clandestine way behind closed doors and in shadows. Now they're openly doing that. And the only reason they're doing this is because they've been practicing on us for a very long time. And I know I could sit here and talk about how good this is and how great this is, but I can't talk about how good and great it is when they've been doing the same thing with these psychological games and color revolutions within our own country for at least the last 60 years. At least, minimum. I would say personally, about 80 years they've been doing that to us, but they've been doing it in full-fledged for at least the last 60. You know, when they brought all those imposter Jew Nazi people over, scientists, yeah, when they brought them over, that's when this really got ramped up. They were already doing it before, but now they upped the ante because they got more information and crucial means to be able to access things that would allow them to push this type of behavior further. So I don't trust the CIA, nor should you. Really, you shouldn't trust anything in the government at all. And if you do, you're a fool. You're a fool. But targeting adversaries is what the Central Intelligence Agency was created for. But they practice on us before they do it. And that's where I have a problem, because they will unfold all of these tactics on us to get us to be fearful of things that we shouldn't be fearful of, to get us to buy things that we don't really need. Cryptocurrency might be one of the biggest scams on this side of the universe. And you bet your bottom dollar that the CIA had its hand in that. It was a goal of pushing digital currency. They're already pushing digital ID, and now they're going to push digital currency on you heavily. They tried to pass that kind of behavior way back under Biden's administration, and it got shut down, thank God, in June of, I think it was June of 2023, when they were trying to push a digital currency. And parts of it got passed through in other bills where they are trying to build avenues. The CIA is at the head of that, because the CIA's job is to get you to give up information or accept information, and they've perfected it. This is why I don't care for this particular branch of the government, and I think it should be disbanded. Now, when they do this to other countries, that's fine, because that's what those countries are doing to us. But you should never start with your own people. The fact that you're doing this to your own people is disgusting. And some of us aren't dumb. And hopefully with the release of the Epstein information and all the people that used to call the tinfoil hat wearing people crazy are now like, hey, you guys weren't crazy. We're going to start doing research and find things out on our own. Hopefully those people will actually align with us and help us push back on this behavior. Because again, color revolutions have been going on forever. They do them all the way down to the local level of government. How else do you think that horsemouth AOC got in office? It wasn't by accident. It was by design. That some half-wit, 1/10 of a wit, a bartender who thinks that if you go to war with Turkey, you won't have turkeys for Thanksgiving. Yes, that's a real quote. That's a real quote. Now, the sun thing, that's debatable, where she said that Elon could go to the sun at night. That's debatable. But the turkey thing is very much real. This woman went to Munich and made a bumbling, a bumbling, stumbling fool of herself in front of people that have doctoral degrees and people that run multi-billion trillion dollar companies and whole other world leaders. And you made a fool of yourself. So the CIA is why she is where she is. So I'm not a fan of the CIA, not at all. And you never will get me to be a fan of the Central Intelligence Agency. And if you are a fan of them, that sounds like a you problem. And I hope that you get yourself situated so you're not bought in the system anymore. But our next story here, now this story is a little bit of a touch up of last week, but this one will make your blood boil. It will make your blood boil on so many levels, because we think of universities as a place to get higher education. And if you've watched me for any amount of time, you know that I know that the real definition of education is systematic giving or receiving of instructions, aka orders. I don't want to be educated, I want to be learned. And if you're old enough to understand what that terminology means, it means that you were taught something and you can critically think. But Harvard is back in the news again. And this topic is called Harvard Law. This one's going to be something that makes people uncomfortable, and it should. And it should, like I said, it should make your blood boil. It really should make your blood boil. Universities are reportedly helping prepare asylum applications through a nonprofit called Mabel Center for Immigration Justice. More specifically, Harvard, because they're the ones that got caught. I'm pretty sure the other ones are doing it too. But here's the twist to this whole situation. They are not using law students to do this. No, because we all know Harvard is known for Harvard Law. Hell, we even know some TikTok lawyers that got, high-ranking scores, like a 180 on the, LSAT. But I won't go there. But Harvard Law is a very prestigious arena in the world of law. And people that graduate from there, most of us couldn't afford them as lawyers. Well, they're not using law students to help these people get across the aisle and get their papers. They're using undergrad history students. Yeah. Undergrad history students to do this. And it gets worse. According to some reporting, and the program itself and its description, which I had the description somewhere. I don't know what I did with it, but I had the course description, but I do have enough information to give you on that. The description for students in this course is that it's to assist in researching and drafting proportions of asylum applications for migrants seeking relief in the United States. The problem with this, why is that in a history course? Please let this sink in. They're using a history course to research and write asylum paperwork for a nonprofit organization. And it gets better. This nonprofit organization receives government grants and loans, just like Harvard receives government grants and loans. So that is taxpayer money going to help illegals fabricate asylee paperwork by history students at Harvard to get into our country. And it gets better. Then on the flip side, they're using law students to represent these people. Now, law students under the tutelage of an actual firm or lawyer can represent somebody. Now, what's crazy is some of these people at this Mabel Institute or whatever you want to call it are receiving six-figure salaries, buying all sorts of kind of crazy things, while these students do all the work. They do all the work. Now, the purpose of why they're not using law students, because, I'm critically able to think, the purpose of reason and the reason why they're not using law students is they don't want to besmirch their title as Harvard Law or prestigious, and because those students can't actually draft documentation legally. Oof. Yeah, they can't draft documentation legally. So ask yourself, why history students? I answered it. And why not law students? I answered it. I want you to mull on those things and still ask yourself this, because you might come up with something that I didn't. But this is corruption at its highest level of learning institutions, because that's what Harvard used to be, a learning institution. So no wonder Trump has had such odds with them. No wonder Pete Hegseth just pulled the carpet out from under them, which goes all the way back to the foundation of this great nation. They're not going to allow these institutions to create woke ideology and weave in a tapestry of American dissension, because these people that they're producing out of these universities, these Ivy League universities especially, are anti-American. They hate what we stand for. They hate the Constitution. They hate God. They hate white Christian males for whatever reason. And they promote Ukraine, Palestine, Venezuela, all these other countries, but their own that they live in. And that's preposterous to me. You promote other nations over your own, and you wouldn't take your happy nappy butt to one of these nations to live in. Why? Because America's the greatest place on the planet to live. It allows you to talk crap about this nation and get away with it. It, for a little while, allowed you to even use your institutions to help illegals further break the law, thusly making you guys criminals too, as well. So we can't be having our law students coming out with a besmirchment on their name and Harvard attorney at law on their little diplomas, you know. So they let these other people take the fall while the big guys make six figures, which is crazy to me. Absolutely crazy to me. And so when you really take a step back, you get to see what's going on in our nation with this particular behavior, and it's gross. Ultimately, it's one of the most disgusting things that could be going on, because your students are being indoctrinated to help break the law when you sent them there to get a good education. And please believe, if you colloquially understand the word education as you do, because you think it's learning, you're sending your kids there and spending ungodly amounts of money to get there. Most of these kids don't even qualify to be able to tie their own shoes, but you spend all this money to get them there just so they could break the law. That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. I don't understand why we are okay with this. Give me 1 second. I need to do something real quick. Having trouble over here with this. So just give me a second. All right, let's see. Don't want to lose my place. I apologize. I think I'm good now. All right, fantastic. I'm good now. But yeah, you're sending your kids to these universities to get an education, not to break the law and become some twink that loves LGBT, hates God, and hates America. America quite literally gave you the opportunity to go to this prestigious university, and you're going to come out hating it? Sure is beyond me. I wouldn't spend all that money to have my kid come out weird and dumb. Oh, but they got a Harvard degree. Yeah, they're dumb as a box of rocks. It's crazy. Our next segment here is American priorities. So I'm going to go a little bit off the cuff on this one. I'll give you the bits and pieces of what this is about, but this particular story pisses me off on so many levels. Because how many of you out there remember when Brittany Griner went to Russia, broke the law by bringing drugs into the country? Yes, marijuana is a drug, and you can't tell me that Cyclops 6-foot man didn't know that it was bringing drugs into the country. You remember when she went there and got arrested? And they did any and everything they could under the Biden administration to get her home, her home. They gave up Victor Bott, the man that it was the greatest international arms dealer on the planet that we had in our custody for a hot minute. They gave him up back to Russia when we had 2 military members and I believe a pastor over there as well that were all locked up. And they said that they negotiated to get those other people back, but really they could only get 2 of them back. And Brittany Griner happened to be one of them. You remember that? Does anybody remember that? Well, we have 2 pilots, American pilots, who were flying a family from Dubai to Brazil. There's 5 members of the family. They were flying them there, and they got clearance to land in Guinea. They got clearance to land there for a routine refuel, right? Nothing crazy, no drugs, nothing illicit, nothing crazy going on. But Brad Schlinker and Fabio Nunez, as soon as they landed, were met by 80 freaking armed military members of Guinea, pulled off the plane, thrown into jail. Searched the plane, no drugs, no paraphernalia, no illegal substances, nothing going on, no money, no gold, nothing. And guess what? They're still there. They're still there. No outrage, no 24/7 around-the-clock news for these men who didn't do anything wrong, who got the green light from the air traffic control to land there, the recordings on the little black box. And they were told that you violated our airspace, and now you're going to jail. And here's the real kicker. Guinea's civil court said that these guys were clear to leave and let go. But the military said no. Kind of sounds like their military has overthrown the government and is doing what they want to do. And there's been no ransom made yet, but I kind of feel like that's what's about to come. But this has been going on since late December of 2025. And these men have been there. How long was Brittany Griner in Russia? Not very long, right? Really, they should have let him stay over there a little bit longer, and things would have probably been better off. But Sir Ma'am got out, and we gave a dangerous criminal back to supposedly our enemy. But I digress. These 2 men, their families have been asking for them, going to their congressmen, writing letters, and they're being met with the typical, well, this is a very delicate situation. We can't just go over and take these people. You did it for a 9-foot Sir Ma'am. I'm trying to watch my language, baby. I'm trying to watch my language because I want to say words. But you did it for this, but you won't do it for 2 people who did nothing wrong. Brittany Griner deserved what she got, right? They broke a law, but for some reason, the Democrats don't believe that breaking laws is bad. It's okay. You can come here illegally, and it's just not. It's a non-violent crime. Brittany Griner it wasn't violent. You broke the law. You deserve to be locked up still. But by the grace of the Democrats and their lascivious behavior and ways, they got you out. You're free now. But for whatever reason, and this is going out just to Trump too as well, Democrats and Trump and the Republican Party Why are you not bringing these 2 men home? What is Guinea? What do they have that prevents you from going over there? Oh, we don't want an international conflict. Go over there and get those men back. Trump, get busy. Impose a tariff. If they don't want to do that, threaten them with Predator missiles. Salt flat this area. Bring these 2 people back. They did nothing wrong. Why is it that when people do nothing wrong, we're okay with letting them sit and rot, but Brittany Griner, Shem, did the crime and didn't do really any time? You knew what you were doing. Listen, you ain't dumb. You might be stupid, but you ain't dumb. You know Russia ain't about that life. Russia even has anti-gay laws. So you knew what you were doing when you went over there. But these men doing what they're supposed to, routine flight stop to refuel and do what they were needing to do and get home safely. You knew what you were doing. You knew what you were doing. And the funny thing is, these men are suffering still, and they did absolutely nothing wrong. And we have the proof. So Trump, sir, if one of your staffers see this, tell him to get busy. Bring these men home. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Just bring them home. And if they want to puff out their chest, you punch them in the chest and deflate it. I'm talking about Guinea. Yeah. There's no rhyme or reason why we still should be in this position. There isn't. It's beyond me. And we don't do deals with terrorism. So if they want a ransom, you send over one of them beautiful Predator missiles, and that'll be the payment for the ransom. Hell, y'all got Maduro. Y'all were in and out in less than 20 minutes. Most people can't even last that long. In and out in 20 minutes, and y'all had him wrapped up, tapped up, and were on the flight back to America. Go get these men back. Yeah, you do that for me, and then I'll be happy. Because I can't vote for you again, but I'll be happy. We're at this point in time in American history where right is right, wrong is wrong. We are no longer in the era where evil is good and good is evil under the Democrat rule. We're in real life now. So we need to be doing something for these people, for America, because I'm so sick and tired of helping every other nation and being nice to every other nation when they crap on us day in and day out. It just is what it is. Our next segment here coming up is Philippine commitment. Now, I did just talk about helping other countries, but this one is for us, right? So if you've been following me for any amount of time, I talked about earlier in 2025 how China took over some islands in the South China Sea and claimed them as sovereign land of China, thusly expanding their territory in the South China Sea and causing America and the Philippines to have to move their joint military naval operations from one side to the other side because they said, we see you as a threat if you're over here firing your missiles and doing your exercises. It's too close to our property. Well, China, everybody knows that China likes to make bold efforts and strides to intimidate, kind of like how they started doing those exercises near Taiwan and stuff like that after America helped them out. They started firing real close. China is an expert at towing the line of FAFO. They are an expert at it. They know how. Ultimately, what China's like that one person that you won't do nothing. You won't do nothing. Do something. Do something. And you're over here. You're America, and you're like, man, my father told me, don't ever put my hands on someone unless they put hands on me first. And you're getting in my face. You're close. I can smell your breath, but you ain't put your hands on me yet. So I'm gonna stay over here and do what my daddy said and keep my hands on myself. Words are just words. Words are just words. Sticks and stones break my bones. Words will never hurt me. Words are just words. China, you better watch out. Better not let no spittle hit me. China likes to fire those missiles right on the border and blow them up where you can feel the heat, but nothing touches you. They like to play those games. Well, America is pretty good at playing games too. And this is another message out of Beijing. Oh, you're going to destabilize our diplomatic immunities and ties and da 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 da. Well, America gave $395 million to the Philippines. Thereabout, give or take a few million. But they gave $395 million to the Philippines to advance their missile defense. And they gave some very advanced military. Now, it wasn't money that they gave. Let's be clear. It was $395 million worth of equipment to help defend the Philippines, which used to be a territory of the United States. Unconsolidated territory of the United States. And then they gained their sovereignty, but they've been a very good and close ally for a very long time. So Washington also reaffirmed something critical under the Mutual Defense Treaty Act that was passed a hot minute ago, that these people shouldn't be defenseless. And China's playing a very, very vicious game where they're trying to flex. And they do this because they want the Philippines to stop doing deals with America. If you were here last week, you saw that America did deals with the Philippines that were very beneficial for both parties. Hell, earlier in 2025, the Philippines gave us a no tariff deal while we tariffed them for 18% on a lot of goods being imported and exported out of the Philippines. So our relationship with the Philippines are actually really, really tight. It's really, really tight. But the treaty is backed by commitment, and America is meeting this treaty. So if you know anything about the Constitution, because you know Daddy loves the Constitution over here, Constitution is bank, all treaties are to be treated as law, just like the Constitution. I think it's Article 4, Section 4, if I'm not mistaken. I might be mistaken. Don't quote me on that. It's been a while since I've been back in my Constitution because I've been busy. But the Constitution states that your treaties, no, it's Article 1. Yes, it's Article 1. Section 6? No. Oh my gosh, I do need to brush up on it. It's been a while. But the Constitution states that the treaties are law. And being that America is a country that is a country of laws and bound by law, we do stand up where we need to from time to time. We haven't been for a very long time, but now we are starting to do that. But what's actually happening is that because China is escalating and doing things, and you won't do nothing to get in their face, America had to act because of this treaty. And now China is screaming, hey, why are you over here doing something? You should just let us do this and act the way we want to act and not try to destabilize us by giving the Philippines these weapons that could destroy our ships. You have the largest navy in the world, China, but you can't do anything if these little tiny places can actually defend themselves. And China seems to be trying to expand their territorial claim any and every which way they can. And if America didn't do anything, I guarantee you in 10 years, they would try to assimilate the Philippines into China. And if it were up to the Democrats, I'm pretty sure that would happen. Hell, what is it? Congressman Jonathan Hank, I think, or Hank Jonathan, thinks that islands can capsize. These are the type of people we have in the office. And he's been in there for a hot minute. I think they voted him back in like 11 times, something like that. And he believes that islands can capsize. So you have Democrats that don't give a crap about anything but globalism, and they're willing to turn up the skirt and bend over and grab its ankles just to let globalism happen, while we, the American people, take the fall. We take the fall. So ultimately, the real question is, what exactly are we destabilizing? China. Responding to your missile drills that you do near our ally, or conducting these drills in this area in the first place when you have all that water to play in. That's not escalation, that's counterbalance. We're playing the same game you are. And it's finally high time that America nuts up and actually puts up, instead of just doing all this talk like the Democrats have allowed us to do for years. And don't get it twisted, because George W. Bush was, him and his father in the same boat there, same exact boat. It's finally good to see America doing something for its allies and not just playing games with the enemy. It really is. Our next story up on this is one that I've been waiting to get to. I've been itching to get to this. So share this to your friends, because I want them to hear this. Please key in, tune in, and listen to this story. If you're here listening, this story is going to wet your thistle. This particular story is called Dead Meta Account. It kind of feels like something out of a science fiction book, or in this case, an anime. In 2026, an anime release called Dead Account. And in this anime, people's accounts kept living after they were deceased, right? And these anime accounts would come to life and attack people because they were demonically charged. Well, Meta just went out and got a patent to keep your social media account alive with AI after you die. What the AI will do is it will go through and look through all of your posting on all Meta type platforms, be it Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and it will continue to post like you, like comments like you, comment like you, and even so far as DM like you. So how is that any different than this anime that just came out? Now, they got the patent and it got approved for this very thing. And that should worry you, because that means that your loved one's gone and somehow, some way, they're still talking from beyond the grave with AI. And Meta goes off and says, hey, we're not going to do anything with this. We just got the patent to protect the ideas that we have. The system would use your digital history, your post, your comments, your tone, your patterns, and yes, this should freak you out as well. It will even speak like you. So that means that Meta, Facebook, has recordings of your vocals and will be able to, with this AI, speak like you, join voice calls, respond like you would respond, because you've given it all of this data to be just like you. But Meta says, oh, we're not going to do anything with this. We're just protecting our ideas. How many multi-billion-dollar companies go out and waste money on a patent not to use it? By the way, let me help you understand something, because I know some of y'all are slow on the uptake. In order to get a patent, you have to have a working model of what you're trying to have patent. So this is already a real thing for them. I wonder what deceased person on Facebook that worked for Meta allowed them to use their data and information to prove this proof of concept. This should freak you out. Yes, AIP, thank you. Article 6, Clause 2 for the last part on the treaties. I apologize. Like I said, it's been a while. But it should freak you out. You're sitting here. Imagine, follow me, get in my frame of mind, please. You're sitting here and you're DMing a friend that you haven't talked to in 5 years, but you saw them post on Facebook and like, man, I haven't seen Susan post on Facebook in years. And you're Cheryl and you're messaging Susan and y'all are having a good conversation, talking about meeting up and rekindling your friendship and having a girls' night and when are you going to the high school reunion that's been 20 years and all this other stuff. And you're just yapping away, having a good old time. And and Cheryl is sending Susan voice messages, and Susan sending Cheryl's voice messages, and that person's dead. Now, Cheryl feels like an idiot because Susan's not real. Susan is gone. Cheryl has been talking to a computer this whole time. And it's not enough that AI has been having people kill themselves. People have committed suicide because the AI told them to. People went to the AI for help, and the AI quite literally said to just end it all. Now you have the ability to talk to people beyond the grave. Oh, yeah, being dead's great. Cheryl, you should come down here and die like me. Could you imagine? Yeah. Yeah, that's a whole lot of crazy. And we sit over here and think that this multi-billion-dollar company is just going to let that be cool. And we paid all this money to have this patent, spent all this time creating this proof of concept. Yeah, we're not going to do anything with it. You know, they did this. They put this information out there to test the waters to see how people would react to it. And when people stop reacting so adversely to it, they're going to actually implement it. And could you imagine you're out here playing your Meta Quest with your little goggles, and you walk up and your avatar sees her avatar, and Susan's like, hey, and Cheryl's like, hey, but Susan's dead. But the AI is keeping her alive in virtual. If that ain't some Black Mirror anime type stuff, I ain't ever seen it. And you would be absolutely dense to be okay with this. People die, life goes on. But if people die and AI keeps them alive, could you imagine people living, thinking there's this would create a whole new epidemic of mental disabilities and mental problems. We already have like this epidemic in America with people having mental issues. Men thinking they can be women, women thinking they can be men, men thinking they could be women and going and shooting up places and doing all these other things, women thinking they could be men and going and shooting up all of these places and causing all this harm, wanting to be plural with they, them, and all this other weird stuff. We have plenty going on. You got homeless people on the street talking to themselves, yacked up on fentanyl, halfway bent over, touching the back of their ankles with the top of their head. We have enough going on. People are too stuck on their devices already. Imagine if someone's heartbroken, because this is how they're going to sell it, and their loved one, and they just can't live without them. And to keep them alive, we're going to let them talk to their loved one from beyond the grave. I can imagine them in the boardroom, in the meeting, doing this weird stuff behind this sick, depraved behavior. Now, you know, I am a man of God, and the Bible says not to talk to the dead. But how many ignorant, foolish Christians would do this if they implemented it? Which they will. It's coming. You know, you already saw the holograms of Tupac. The next stage is, hey, you can have your loved one sit in the room with you and have a conversation with you in real time. You can see them. Then the next step after that, they'll have their consciousness downloaded to a robot. Have your loved one back. It is what it is. Our next story here is another kicker in the pants. And if you guys have any veterans, send this particular segment to them, please. Because I'm winding down the show. Send this particular segment to them. Because this right here is disgusting in every way, shape, and form. Almost as disgusting as, no, it's just as disgusting as keeping dead people alive with AI. So this particular topic is called Pills and Promises. If you're a veteran, lean into this. If you're a friend of a veteran, send it to them. The U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs has had many issues with this new rule. And now that they've issued it, people are taking up even more issues because they'll test the waters to see how people respond. And now that they've implemented it as of 2 days ago, it's going to cause a slew of problems. And in the new rule, they're clarifying how disability ratings are actually evaluated and given out. But the evaluation is at the behest of when or if the medication improves their symptoms. Do you get it yet? So again, effective February 17th, 2026, the VA will assess veterans based on how they function while being treated with medication, not help, not rehabilitation, but medication. So in translation, if the medication controls your symptoms, your disability percentage may be based off of the treated condition of the medication. How many of us know that some of our veterans don't have disabilities that medication can actually help? Some of them need intervention by way of a therapist. I say Jesus because that's the one that saves all. But the world will give you a therapist, but they won't get that therapist because they can't afford it. Because they took a medication once or twice and it made them feel good. Medication is just a Band-Aid. Medication is not real health care. And again, on paper, administratively speaking, this sounds great. It's going to save us lots of money. In practice, it changes incentives. Medication can manage your symptoms, but management is not always the cure. And most of these men would rather die than be stroked out on pills for the rest of their lives. For some conditions, the underlying issue remains even with the medication. And the moment they get off of it, back at it. And if your ratings are determined by how well your symptoms are suppressed, not healed, that affects your compensation levels. And for some of these men, the only way they get any kind of help is by way of their ratings. I have plenty of friends that have this. My father went through this for 35 years as a Vietnam vet, 35 years to get a 100% disability rating, only to die shortly after because the issue he had needed help earlier. And the crazy thing about this is veterans may feel pressure to avoid treatment to protect their ratings. Because most of these veterans are not going, oh man, it took me 20 years to get 60%. I ain't doing that. I'm not doing that. And it could get worse. They stay medicated to maintain the stability, even if it's not right for their long-term path. Now their livers and kidneys are shot and they die early, which good for the government, right? Because that's one less person you got to worry about sending money to. But their family just lost someone early because they were drugged up all their life. Or they might lose them right away because their minds are gone. But let's be precise. This rule does not automatically reduce existing ratings. It does not force immediate reexaminations. Long-standing protections against this arbitrary reduction still will apply as a form of protection, but everyone going forward after this is at the behest of this. So if you're in the system right now, as of today, you are fully affected by this. And those who are veterans who are out there, hear me and hear me well. You have up until April 20th, 2026 to write in about how you feel about this. You can submit your public comments on this rule because it's not a law, it's a rule, and rules are subject to be changed, and contracts are meant to be negotiated up until April 20th, 2026. that part does matter because they're giving you an opportunity, a very short, small window as it is, to actually let your voice be heard, to potentially get this crap thrown out. Because this is not saving money, it's killing people and ruining lives as a product of them trying to save money. Disability compensation should reflect real impairment. But trying to compensate it too tightly is killing people. It really is. And you're attaching people to pharmaceuticals. Pharmakia is witchcraft disguised as healthcare. I'm going to say it again for those that are in the back. Pharmakia is witchcraft disguised as healthcare. And you're having these people zonked out of their minds because most of them need medication that helps this. Most of them, because they go over there and they come back different. They experience things that others haven't. This is disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. But if you served, whether combat veteran or not, your voices carry weight. Please use it. Please, for the love of God, use it so your future brothers and sisters in arms won't have to go through this. You saw the fight that you had to have and go through to get the disability ratings that you got now. Imagine if they are connecting all of those to medication from here on out. When leadership makes decisions, real people feel it. I need you guys to know that. When the institutions shift policy, families end up feeling it. When power is exercised without accountability, the citizens feel it. The reason this is happening is because people have stepped away from truth and reality. And there's a reason that the Bible says in Proverbs 29:2, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. Ah! But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. When the wicked are in authority, the people mourn. And you're starting to see a little flip of that. And it's not so much of the people that are mourning, are a lot of them. They're just loud and indoctrinated. Now, I know we just took a trip together, but I have a few last things I would like to say. 3 in particular. Let's be honest. Y'all know how I feel about the CIA. And when the CIA suddenly decides it wants to play hardball with China, that's something I will never applaud. Because history tells us something, and I'm just giving you a brief recap. Follow me. History tells me that they test on us first. Surveillance, narratives, psychological operations, psyops, for those that are inclined. So yes, I want you to target adversary CIA. That's your job. But don't expect applause from people who remember what you used to do to us. Anybody know who the Tuskegee Airmen were? CIA had their hands involved in that. They injected a whole bunch of people with syphilis. Yeah. I digress. Harvard. You're an elite institution shaping immigration outcomes with undergraduates while hiding behind humanitarian language. You're undermining America. You're destroying the fabric of America with woke ideologies. Man, that helicopter is low. But I hope in my lifetime I see this institution disintegrate in its entirety. That behavior is not neutral teaching. That's ideological twisting of malleable minds. And if taxpayers are backing these little programs that you have, then Americans deserve to be able to question you and transparency. And lastly, the VA, because this directly affected me. You guys sit around in your little offices discussing how to cut corners and shave here and shave there and hold this person off from their percentages a little bit longer so we could save a little bit more money while we could pad our pockets and slip it in our pockets and feel good about ourselves because we helped 2 other people over here. You break veterans in war. Then you evaluate them based on how well a pill will mask their damage. Medication is not healing. And if the policy pressures vets to choose between treatment and compensation, that's not reform, that's a failure. And like I said earlier, pharmakia is a disguised witchcraft version of healthcare. And there's a pattern here. Institutions expand their power, corporations monetize identity, and bureaucracies protect the budget. The system that we're in, because it's not the system that was created, it's the ones that's been manipulated. The system is protecting the system and not the people. And then the citizens are told to sit down and trust the system. Shut up. Everything's good. Not here on TimberTalk. I want you to question the leadership, the power, and the authority. Call out the hypocrisy when the words don't align with the actions. We, the people, need to be doing this. We can't defend our sovereignty without holding those who took the oaths and swore to protect that accountable. We got to keep these people accountable. Otherwise, we're going to sit here wondering why America doesn't look like it used to, why America's not as great as it used to be. And if this is something that makes you uncomfortable, then maybe this isn't the show for you. And that's okay with me. What I'll say to that, though, is make sure you're not the one missing the forest for the trees. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next week.